Strats ideas, like as the game is fairly new, strats are found every day, and there's so many new runners and old runners even running this game. So strats are found here and there, and people are putting them together, which is very cool, I think.
Right. Yeah, it's ultimately going to come down to who can kind of put this big puzzle together. But yeah, go ahead, Justin.
So we had a bit of a technical difficulty there. But in any case, these guys are in the Cascade Kingdom. Tell me again about how they're moving around. So what are they doing here for the rolling?
Yeah, rolling is just your fastest mode of transportation. If you're just trying to simply get from one flat-ish ground to another part of the ground, then yeah, rolling's going to be your best friend. You can start a roll. The problem with a roll is that it's hard to change your direction. Obviously, you can't gain any weight off of it, so it's not the only mode of transportation that you're seeing them utilize throughout the run. But yeah, you're going to see them roll quite a bit. You're going to see them shaking a lot. This game has a lot of motion controls, which most people, probably rather there wasn't as much motion controls. But, you know, it is what it is. Stammer, are you a fan of the motion controls?
I love them.
Alright, I'm going to take your word for that. But yeah, there's actually a lot more utilization of that. Looks like we got our players getting up to. No one missed. We got 2 for 2. Feinbergg and Krameht both able to get the T-Rex jump, skipping having to walk all the way around the mountain to get up to this boss fight. A very conveniently placed trampoline. Although it's a little awkward to sometimes get that T-Rex foot to actually bounce onto the trampoline. Krameht able to get it first try, and oh my God, Jackster! That's
I'm surprised at first.
I was about to be like, well, he's gonna have to try it again, and then he hit that cutscene trigger by a literal pixel. There is no way that should have worked, but he's not complaining. He'll take it. That's a big time loss to miss that jump. This looks like Feinbergg and krankdud about synced up. Again, that doesn't really matter. It actually, I mean, it basically doesn't matter at all. But the 2 players on the top, that is its own race, and the 2 racers on the bottom. If it was a race between the 2 on the left and then the 2 on the right, we'd have like almost sync between these guys. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, it would be much closer races. As it is, the underdogs here are going to be Krameht and the Jacksters over on the right. So keep your eyes on them, because their personal bests aren't nearly as good, but that doesn't mean they're going to be. I don't know. To me, it doesn't mean anything in a sort of a race setting.
It doesn't mean anything in a race setting. It comes more down to your consistency, and the game is just so new. A lot of these runners, it's like, well, okay, this is like my 7th run that I'm doing in this tournament race.
Yeah.
A lot of people with these lower times, that's their situation. So, again, I'm waiting for someone to just be like, oh, PB by 5 minutes all of a sudden, because I just finally put it all together. I know when I was going from I got an initial time of like an hour 40, and then it was an hour 29, and then an hour 26, then an hour 21, hour 18. It was just huge chunks of minutes coming off every single run. So again, don't judge someone simply by what their time is right now. This isn't a well-established historic speed game like SM64, where they're probably going to play close to their PB, or they're going to be hoping to stay within a minute. Well, a lot of these guys are going to tell you, I hope I PB by multiple minutes. So with that, we're going into the first large kingdom of the run. We've got the Sand Kingdom. It'll be interesting to see what different routes each of them could take.
Oh boy. Sand Kingdom is one of the stages that has the most of the routes you can choose from.
I'm still using like a 2-week old route. I'm still going into employees only, dude. I just have not tried to upgrade it yet. The most optimal route, and Samuel, I don't know if you go for this, dude. Are you going for the clip yet?
I've done it with my PP run, and I should keep doing it actually. Oh.
Do you find
it's not a
how consistent do you find the trick?
Somewhat consistent, but it's still a skip that can fail because you don't get the right inputs.
Interesting different route we're seeing here right off the bat. I've never seen this. Krameht actually going to employees only and going to it first, actually. Maybe he's finding this a little more consistent to reset the loading zone. In his last race, he just missed the bird. He had to back it up later on. It's quite frustrating for him. Going up, getting the Tower Moon. We'll see now if he elects to try to go for the bird. Looks like he's not. I think he just elects for a route where he gets the bird in the Oasis, just flat out.
I'm interested to see how many of the racers are gonna go for the Sphinx coins and some who are skipping.
Yeah, that is another reason why you have all these different routes, is that some players, depending on what route, it's hard to say what's optimal, but some people will elect to go for the Sphinx, which in the Sphinx, you can get enough coins to where you don't have to worry about your coin count for the rest of the run. You need 200 coins. Go ahead, what was that?
Did you guys see how krankdud just used the bullet bill manipulated bullet bill to hit the box to spawn the moon?
Oh, he actually had the bullet bill break the box itself?
Yes.
Oh, I've never seen that before. I know there's, again, lots of different strategies here. You can see Feinbergg and Krameht both taking this bullet bill all the way over. This is only fast enough to get to this moon if you are able to manipulate the bullet bill fast enough to shoot out, kind of follow you over a distance, and then ride it all the way to that top pillar. A lot of it's trying to just avoid as many. We prefer the moons that just kind of pop out and then you're in an animation. We don't have to watch as many cut scenes. So moons that are lower on the priority scale are, say, the Notes moon, because you're going to have a couple of cut scenes of a moon spawning and the Notes spawning once we get to the Oasis. Employees only, because that's 2 extra load screens having to enter and exit the shop from the back. So this is a lot of the time, the factors that go into it.
I see krankdud wants to get the Sphinx coins, although is Jackster also preparing it. Feinbergg, I think he skipped them. Krameht going for luggage, feels like he's also skipping Sphinx coins.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? Are coins really easy just to come by, or do you ever feel short on coins as you go through when you have to go buy them?
it's good to have a backup coins in your mind if you're running out of coins, and especially if you skip the Sphinx coins, you want to do Seaside first as it has the most of the coins on a route because of the moons routing. Then you go to Snow, and you should have enough coins that buy them.
Yeah, I believe Seaside pretty easily you can make up 50 plus coins in it. So if you are short, we only need 200, potentially 210, depending on if you use a Death View strat in Lost Kingdom. That can all get off quite a bit if you Death Cycle in a spot, like we saw Krameht running into in the last race, where all of a sudden you're just going to be short a lot of coins. I do like my random backup strat where I thought hit the dumpster on the way to the bassist moon, just to get 50 coins if you did die quite a few times. That's in a more of an emergency situation though. Again, the optimal strat more so is just go to Seaside first before Snow, and then you don't have to worry about it. Looks like we do have krankdud and Feinbergg both getting the Notes Moon at the end. The two of them staying consistent. Again, not that them against each other means too much in the context of today's races. But again, you want to try to get as good a time as possible being a competitor. Now, Krameht needs to get this Bird Moon this time. He is able to get it. Good for him. He had to back that up, missing the bird in the last race. Had to go all the way and spend 10 coins and waste a lot of time in the slots moon. So I'm sure right off the bat, that's a confidence booster for him.
Yeah,
definitely a race where there's a better chance of winning.
I don't think anyone wants to play the slots.
I mean, on the weekends I like to, yeah, but I don't think that works best out here. I remember when slots used to be in the route. It was like Samurai Man said, it's just Sand Kingdom has had so many different routes over the last 6 weeks. It's been really interesting. We used to get the first story moon. Man, that was a bad idea. You go all the way up the 2D tower.
The cutscene.
That was never a good idea. I don't know whose idea that was, but we got some weird moves in this game. But here we are, first two runners into the Lake Kingdom. Cool new strat that has been developed during the last week or so. Feinbergg throwing out his hat and then bouncing off that. Not able to execute the strat correctly, though, unfortunately. You're going to see krankdud doing a little bit of a different variation on it, throwing his hat later. And yeah, that does put him up by the zipper. Feinbergg having a little bit of trouble. One with his frame drops. We're not able to see this really clearly. But Lake giving him some issues, having some bonks getting up in areas, allowing that a little bit of a window for Krameht to possibly get back into this race. Again, it is very early, so no one's certainly out of it. krankdud playing very, very strong so far, though.
Lake Kingdom is one of the shortest kingdoms, only needing 8 moons. Meanwhile, others are like plus 10 moons or so.
Yeah, definitely one of the smallest kingdoms in terms of requirements. But it's one of those that even though we only need 8, not a lot of moons are actually just readily available. So even though in most situations we're going to avoid those like larger story moons, you're going to see the players, all of them, elect to get 5 quick moons and then come up here and actually fight the brutal boss. Because the boss can be defeated in like 30 seconds and he gives you a multi-moon, which does in fact count for 3 moons. So faster than any other 3 moons you would collect. In 503 routing, there are very few other decent moons that are sitting around here before you bring peace to the kingdom. A lot of the kingdoms have different phases that they'll go through, where after you complete a story moon, it'll then activate many more other moons throughout the level. So that's part of the routing you have to put into the process of routing any of the categories in this game. Like even any percentage, you don't get so few moons. So krankdud able to have a pretty clean Lake Kingdom. Runner with the best pace coming out of here. Looks like he's going to have a sub-14 jingle, maybe even fade out. And probably a little, like low 15 fade out. Feinbergg definitely, though, allowing his opponent Krameht to get a lot closer to him, though, off those bonks he had in the beginning of Lake Kingdom.
Yeah, it might be a pretty interesting race up there at the top between Feinbergg and Krameht. So, see how Krameht performs in the later stages.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who comes out as the 2 seed in that bracket behind Ivan. You got the 2 of them, and then you got Diddy. You know, for the most part, these pools are kind of set up to where, yeah, there's kind of clearly a number 1 and number 2. And usually, like, once you get to, like, your 4 seed even, it's pretty weak. So you just kind of count, all right, I'm probably going to beat that person. That's not the case in their pool. They a little bit of unfortunate luck. Diddy just didn't submit a time to the leaderboard yet, so they seeded him as a 4 seed. But Diddy, as we have established, a world record holder in Super Mario Sunshine to any percent. So pretty good at 3D Marios. Not your standard 4 seed for sure. With that, we're getting into the Wooded Kingdom. Krankdud getting a couple moons there, electing to go to spawn the Bunny Moon first and then get it second. That never seemed faster to me. Samu, what's your feeling on getting the Bunny Moon second?
I feel like getting the Bunny Moon first just wastes the time because you have to wait for the moon to spawn, then you kind of have to grab it. But it's just a personal feeling. Do you want to wait for the cutscene or not?
Yeah, it all depends on what you can say, like, the movement is then from whichever moon then over to the shop. It probably is a preference thing, but either way, I'd say a preference. Krankdud able to get between the nut and the wall there, able to throw his cap and break that nut pretty quickly. It's interesting what kind of strategies you have for cracking the nuts open, as we say. And everybody buying their first moon of the game. We used to be buying more shop moons earlier in the routing of any percent, but it's down now to where it's definitively just 2 moons that we buy.
Wasn't it like buying one in a Seaside and Metro possibly?
Seaside, you used to buy one. Metro, I know, was at least an option some people would think about. I don't know if we ever bought one in Sand. I think people, because you had to get 18 in Luncheon, I think people considered buying one in Luncheon. So you'd have to have all these coins. And then it got to where there was just enough routing found out to where, because obviously you have to factor in the amount of time just to get all the coins so you can buy all of those.
That is correct. Since the single moon buy, you have to buy with 100 coins, and where do you get those coins? With the routing. So you wouldn't backtrack too much.
Alright, I need your guys' opinion on this little section here that Krameht. And does this whole area feel like hard to you at all? Because like I look at it and sometimes, you know, there are enemies everywhere, and Krameht is trying to get himself up there.
Wasn't able quite to do it. The movement from the moment you enter the Fuzzy's pipe is extremely specific. We'll see, Feinberg takes damage, but this should actually make it easier for him to get up there. It's still a bit of a time loss just because you're going to have to refill your health afterwards, but the Fuzzy's pipe I find to be one of the more advanced rooms in the entirety of any percent. For me personally, what do you think, Samu?
It's one of the top rooms to do damage less, especially. I still do the damage way because I haven't got the feeling myself for the damage less way. It's really tough to pull it out for the last jump.
It's hard because if you take damage in this game and then refill your health with a moon, it's 2.2 seconds wasted for 1 health and 2.5 for 2 health. So at that point, if you're taking damage, you are cutting into that time save. Because obviously you can just go slow, not take any damage, and wait for the water to kind of push you up. But if you do a damage list, then it is actually pretty significant time save.
Also taking account the knockback you take from the damage.
Yes, especially in the water. We talked about it in the last race, but it can be quite frustrating how much time you actually lose from taking damage in this game. You take damage, you lose all your momentum, you're getting hit, so you have to watch that animation. You have to potentially be in the water, like in that situation, so you have to wait for your bonk to run out. And then refilling your health, it's like over 5 seconds sometimes you can lose. Just to like a little innocent hit you took on something. Which in races like this, where, especially as we get into more competitive races, that stuff is going to mean a lot. It's not just going to be, oh, okay, who didn't die in places and whatnot.
Yeah, and speaking of dying, I think Feinberg took a death somewhere over there near the piranha plant. So that race is still pretty close. Krankdud is maintaining his lead over the Jackster, but all 4 players here in the Wooden Kingdom, so don't count anyone out.
No, certainly not. Yeah, good catch on your part. See, yeah. So, oh, and we have Feinberg taking another death, actually. That's going to put Krameht in the lead, actually, right now. Taking that bonk. We've got a very close to tie race right now. The only thing potentially keeping Feinberg in the lead right now is that he might have already got the Nut Moon. I'm not sure if he got it up here or not. He did not, so that does, in fact, put Krameht in the lead.
Also, one note is that he doesn't have any coins.
Ooh, he is sitting at 0 coins right now. Feinberg, one of those who elects to go to Seaside first. I'm going to straight up throw out, I think he's going to take my recommendation from the last race, because he was in commentary with me, and then potentially hit the dumpster set of coins in Metro on the way, wasting probably, 4 or 5 seconds, but getting 50 coins out of it. Because he's going to need a lot right now in order to have enough. We'll see how many coins he can get on the way, though. Yeah, good catch on your part, Samu. I did not see that coin count.
It's
Go ahead.
It's good to have all the coins back up in your mind, as if you're not doing the Sphinx coins and you want to buy the moon in the snow, or take a backup instead and not buy the moon. Good to have a backups in your mind all the time.
Absolutely. I always recommend to players, if you want to speedrun a game, even if you just want to do like the any percent, the short categories, it's always good to know the game from a 100% standpoint. Just because that's something like I know just from doing 503 routing and all missions routing, just a little thing I understand that a lot of other people wouldn't know. Because I know other runners who they still have not 100%ed the game. They've just they learned, they played enough to where they could do the any percent run, and that's it. So always good to have those backups in mind. But that definitely, Just Defense said it a couple times there, man, your PB does not matter. Feinberg, we're sitting here, he's got a 3.5 minute advantage on Krameht and PB, but he's trailing in this race. PB means, it means something for sure. I don't want to act like it doesn't, but it's certainly not the full story. Sitting here 23 minutes into this race, and the underdog has the lead.
Krankdud is in a Cloud Kingdom. There's some really neat strats with the Bowser, like taking the damage on purpose, then hitting the gap while Bowser is dropping it at the first possible moment.
I was going to ask you, that's another strat I see. I don't see a lot of people electing to go for it now. You find the strat pretty difficult to pull off, because it doesn't look difficult just looking at it. Just like, oh, you stand there, you take damage, then you hit the hat and you pick it up. But you actually find it a pretty tight strategy.
When I was practicing it, I started to figure out what I did wrong so it wouldn't work out. So when you want to try out a new strat, it's good to find out what works and what doesn't work, so you know in a run that what you would want to do right all the time.
Right. It does look like Krameht entering the Bowser fight at about a 7-second advantage right now. Just getting an update on that. Go ahead.
I had nothing to say. Go ahead.
So we got
Krankdud's the first one in here into the Lost Kingdom, and definitely I feel like this kingdom it seems short, but like everything here is just incredibly precarious. Like because you fall into that purple liquid and like that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's not lava that bounces you back out of the air and you can save yourself. That's just a death. And we are actually intentionally not hitting any checkpoints in the course of this level. You're generally not going to see us really go out of our way for checkpoints. But that's actually because we want to take a potential death abuse. Some people elect to not go for death abuse. I believe not taking a death abuse is a 1 second time save. Is that right, Samu?
1 to 2 seconds, depending how you execute it.
Ooh, Krankdud, unfortunately, bonking on this bug enemy along the way. That's going to waste actually a decent amount of time. because he needs to now wait for him to get in position so he can actually hit this block around the corner with the moon in it.
Lost Kingdom is one of the kingdoms that is really punishing if you mess up there, like, as dying and you don't get the checkpoints, you're back in Odyssey. And talking about the Klepto trigger, it resets it if you die.
Yeah, this is interesting here with the Jackster. He's doing a bit of a safer strat, getting a moon that I honestly have never seen, but I like it. You know, this is the race setting. Don't do the risky stuff. Keep yourself alive.
Yeah, we've got, it looks like both Krameht and he did, I knew he did that in the last race I just called. Both of them electing to do that cave gardening moon that's in there. It's in that cave, well. We're having obviously a lot of drop frames for Feinberg, so not exactly sure where he is in relation to Krameht. That tree can cause a lot of problems. You saw both Krameht and Jackster actually electing to go an older, safer route, where you go up and you jump off of the cage that the moon's in, as opposed to going off of that tree. But definitely the tree's a little bit faster. Ooh, Krameht taking a death, though. That's going to even this race back up. That's going to lose him his advantage over Feinberg.
Lost Kingdom is really punishing with all the deaths. That one is there. Like Krameht just did. It's really unfortunate.
Now he needs to be careful here. Throughout this whole playthrough of Lost Kingdom, you're trying your best to not run into any triggers for Klepto the bird. If you trigger it, he will come down, take your hat away, and then you're going to have to get it back, wasting a ton of time. He also will warp you down to the bottom. Looks like all the players are able to avoid it, though. You actually then trigger Klepto yourself in order to make him think he's taking your cap. When in fact he is not, to make it safe there, the rest of it. That death by Krameht really did kind of even this race back up. Feinberg does take a little bit of an advantage, just jumped down to the moon. He's maybe got a 5-second lead on Krameht right now, so both players kind of matching a couple of bad deaths.
It's very close right now.
Both of them sitting at not great coin situations. That's one thing I'll say if you're going to go the non-Sphinx route. You better be pretty confident you're not going to die that much.
Absolutely.
Here we are, krankdud in one of the other hardest to execute rooms in the run, and showing off how difficult it is. Messing with these little baby Goombas down here.
Metro City Hall is... There's just a battle with the elevator. Knowing the battle will... Then everybody has their own way to do the whole hall. It's interesting how many people has their own way.
Yeah,
even I have my own way because I just feel comfortable doing it.
Do you elect to go the triple jump path to the left? Do you go to the right and hit the elevator? I've seen so many different ideas for how people go through that room.
I myself used the elevator with a triple jump at the beginning.
Yeah. I know, like, my strategy, I try my darndest to just never touch an elevator. Just make sure, like, the elevator has nothing to do with how quickly I go through that room. That's their own preference. We do have all 4 players into the Night Metro section. Again, the top 2 between Feinberg and Krameht, again, that match very well could determine who's going to get out of bracket pool or not. So exciting to see it so close between them. We got Krameht going here for this jump. Yeah, go for it.
Meanwhile, Frank is in a Mecha Pickler fight. We'll see how he's gonna be able to do the G-cycle.
Yeah, you saw some manipulation right there with how he positioned himself, because Mecha Wiggler is always going to follow you out of the wall specifically. So we'll see if he's able to get this 2-cycle or not. It's a big time loss if you don't get it. His spread's looking pretty good here. He's just got this one at the tail. He's going to have to get 2 shots up there. He is able to. We've seen some barely 2 cycles today. Generally, the strategy that at least I use for Mecha Wiggler is that you're going to kind of follow his face as he's coming out of the wall, and then as soon as you kind of understand, you kind of have an internal clock for when he becomes vulnerable. You then start shooting to where, obviously the rest of his body is going to follow his face. So then if you space out your shots perfectly, that it will just continually hit all those different sides of him. Which every time you shoot one of them, it'll also blow up in a bit of a chain reaction. The one that is on either side of him, so you can get 3 at a time. And then from there, you just kind of hope you have a favorable spread, and then you have to start shooting from there. It's like one of my other commentators said in the last race. There's not a lot of RNG in this run. The way Mecha Wiggler moves around kind of is almost like practical RNG. It's impossible to get the same Mecha Wiggler spread every single time. So you have to be really good at just reacting and getting those different potential shots.
Oh boy, are we gonna see this? Oh boy.
There it is.
Yo, he got it, dude. Oh my god.
It's not Christmas yet. We ain't playing with RC cars, so we're just gonna use that scooter. Just get ourselves into that moon.
That is one of the newest tricks found that is useful. Saves 6 seconds, but you have to get it first try if you really want to save those seconds. They matter then.
Yeah, because I would assume even if you have to reset up for a second try, you're losing almost all of those seconds. So
you have to turn around the scooter, so that takes time to set up a new captain.
We got Jackster trying to get the 2-cycle himself. He's got one last little chicken nugget up there. He's not able to get it. That would have been big for him to kind of stay at least competitive in this race with krankdud. krankdud playing pretty darn well, though. This is kind of a tough draw for him today. Looks like Krameht going to get that 2-cycle, though. Again, we're having a lot of drop trains for Feinbergg, so it is hard for us to really know what the gap in that race is. I'm not sure if we're maybe seeing some potential delay. Krameht definitely lost a lot of time in the night time. But Feinbergg might have also been having some issues himself. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna be the wishful thinker here and say I think we still have a close race on that top.
Definitely, I would say. I'm curious, what is their going amount right now?
Yeah, I was going to give it a go. I just want to, while we're going through these cutscenes, for 3 of the runners, I just want to throw this out there. That was the best line of the tournament so far. It's not Christmas yet, dude.
Yeah, so how do you feel about that RC car? Because, I know, if you can't back that car up into that moon, it could be a disaster, trying to correct yourself and get the moon. So I'd like the scooter strat, honestly.
Yeah, if you can get that scooter strat consistently, oh yeah, RC car can go die, dude. No, we never want to have to do that again. We do have Feinbergg and Krameht here both going for it. We'll see how their RC... This could all come down to the RC car, ladies and gentlemen. Krameht having a really good-looking one there, and Feinbergg having some sort of RC car. I don't know what it looked like. He got it, though. I believe Krameht, with that RC car, just took the lead. It's hard to exactly know. Yeah, looking like either way, really back and forth on this top screen.
Right, yeah. These guys, it's no holds barred. They're playing neck and neck. Here we have krankdud getting the musicians, and then he's gonna be transported into this music hall. He's gotta roll out and then pick up the bass guitarist, and then there's another moon there, and he'll be done with Metro Kingdom.
Yes, also you're not going, so he's most likely gonna go to Snow Kingdom first.
Yeah, Snow being faster just simply because it's the top option in the menu. Seaside, if you're gonna go Seaside first, then you have to press down, which with the lag in the menus in this game, unfortunately, that's not as trivial as you would think. I've seen people lose runs to just, I didn't click down. My down input did not happen, so I'm going to Snow first, and I can't afford the moon. At which point, in a race setting, obviously, you'd keep going. Hopefully. And try to figure out some sort of a backup situation. Alright, Krameht Moving up a pretty vanilla way once again up this tower. Looks like he's able to make it though. Feinberg potentially having a little bit more trouble. Again, not sure if it's his stream. Some people are saying it's just how speed gaming, how we're picking it up.
Yeah, you can definitely climb this needle like way faster. It looks like Jackster's trying to do it there, where you jump off, you throw the cap, and then you can keep jumping up. But sometimes that can really get away from you, and you just miss the needle, and you just start flying off the building, and that's no good. Like,
It's one of the more subtly technical moves throughout the entire game, for sure. At least in the entire run. So it looks like we do have Krankdud here going into the Snow Kingdom first. Route here for a while was we would go into a slower road with moon shards in it, but instead, found out by I Ate Your Pie, you're actually going to go get Captain Toad out here first. Like a lot of people just didn't know Toad was out here. We just assumed, all right, there's nothing out here before you bring peace to the kingdom. As it turns out, there is Captain Toad out here, and instead we'll go into a different room with a little bit faster moon instead. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see Feinberg or Krameht, if both of them very low on their coin count. Oh, it looks like Feinberg at 58 coins, he'll be fine. I think both players are actually going to be fine. They don't need to stop and resort to like the dumpster moon or anything. They picked up enough coins throughout the last couple of kingdoms. Where as long as they do successfully go to Seaside first, they'll have enough coins.
Both of the runners are definitely good with the coins. Seaside is gonna keep enough coins, and there's a couple backups. Like one just before the last moon gives you 9 coins. Then one.
Yeah, those little coin rings that are right above the last moon. Also, shoutouts to OTEP. We got our last players coming up on OTEP right now.
OTEP?
OTEP? If you're a sub to I Ate Your Pie, show off your love in the chat right now. It does look like, again, according to what we're seeing, and don't know if we're potentially having some stream delay with all the drop frames, but I'm gonna say right now Krameht is in the lead of this race, actually. He has definitively taken the lead over Feinberg.
It seems like it. But
quite the turn of events. Ooh, nice little ground pound roll to gain that momentum. Seeing really fun room here by Krankdud, who unfortunately messes up. He's maybe going to miss a cycle because of that on this enemy coming up. He's going to have to let him blow by and then catch him from the right side. If your movement's really good, you don't have to wait for that. You can go a little bit faster. Got one little spiny left.
So tell me how that, like, that sort of strategy there, how does that work with Krankdud ground pounding and then rolling? Because I see him getting a lot of momentum out of it.
Yeah, Sammy, you might be a little bit better at explaining it than me. It's just how that, ground pounding into a roll just gains you a lot of speed.
Before you start ground pound, you're doing the spinning input, then you start spinning, you jump, then you immediately ground pound, and you're instantly in the ground. It's just faster way to hit the ground from the ground pound. I actually don't do it myself, actually.
Yeah, it's a strat that people are again getting more creative with starting to use, but just for whatever reason you reach that top speed with your roll just kind of instantly when you do a ground pound into it. I know I was seeing Shaden there for a while. Maybe it was just people trying to get the spin jump to be a part of the route in some way. Ooh, Krankdud taking a death, trying to go quickly through this Goomba room. We're interested to see what his backup strat is here. He already got the moon in the wall. Yeah, he's going to like to go all the way over. A smarter idea. Krankdud really having a solid run before that. That's kind of the first major mistake of his run.
There is a backup you can do from the next of the first 2 Goombas by throwing the cat next to the edge, then rolling to it.
Oh, okay.
Then you still keep the cap jump because you're doing the cap jump from a ground.
Yeah, because I knew there was a strat that people would use where they would just make the icicle drop down and then jump from there, which makes it free. But that makes sense if you do that jump off of basically a grounded cap jump. And that will refund your ability to then dive off of the cap later on, allowing you to get a lot more distance.
Yeah, I just want to clarify to the viewers. Krankdud's doing the Snow Kingdom first, and then the other three players, or excuse me, the two players on the right are doing Seaside, and Feinberg is also in Snow Kingdom. But like these are just different routes. They have to be like Seaside and Snow Kingdom are both mandatory. They're just doing them in different orders.
Yeah, interesting that we end up with Feinberg here. I'm trying to think, does that mean no, because he's got 5 moons, so he got the shot. We saw he was low on coins. I don't know where he was able to get the coins from.
I think Feinberg got the dumpster coins in a...
Oh, he did get the dumpster coins, okay.
Because he was having 100 coins when he left Metro.
Yeah, I definitely saw him at less than 100 when he was going over to the bases, so I must have missed it in the drop frames issues. So yeah, we do have different routes, as Justifend noted to us just there. It's a negligible difference that all just comes down to having those 100 coins so you can buy a moon in the shop at Snow. You might think like, oh, is it worth that much stress? The shop moons don't even seem like that much. Brought it up in the last race, Snow Kingdom is just kind of unfortunate that you just don't have access to that many moons before you bring pieces of the kingdom. A lot of the moons that spawn after you finish the story, the main story of the kingdom, they spawn outside where you kind of went through, you saw Captain Toad and the blizzards going on. Just none of those moons are there for you at that time. So that's why we're a little more handcuffed in our decisions, that we just have to get certain moons, even if they aren't super fast.
And bringing beasts to Snow Kingdom, it takes time.
Oh yeah. It takes an excessive amount of time. In the World Peace category, which is a little bit more arbitrary category, but just bringing peace to all 14 main kingdoms, you would actually clip into the Snow Kingdom, or down into where you have to do a race, just to save yourself a number of minutes. But to actually bring peace to the Snow Kingdom, you have to win this rather lengthy race. It's not fast whatsoever. So yeah, none of that routing is really an option. We're pretty handcuffed. But here we are, Krankdud, pretty well into Seaside himself on his second of these two kingdoms. Again, we'll know once he is done with Seaside, once him and Feinberg are done with Seaside, and then the other two are done with Snow. We'll have a little bit better of an idea what the gap is in these races. Again, Krankdud, despite the death he took in Snow, should be maintaining a pretty good lead here. There's no real disaster points where he can die or anything now, outside of just taking a ton of hits in a row at the end of Seaside here, so he should be able to maintain that multiple minute lead.
Yeah, he's looking sharp, like definitely prepared for this race. I know Jackster was also practicing too, so he's not to demean like anything here, but he's just I think he's just got a tough matchup here, and Krankdud's well prepared for playing Super Mario Odyssey today.
I didn't see that Krankdud is like runners like Krankdud had to be noticed in a tournament format like this. Because again, I mostly just knew him from Mystery Tournament, having I played those, which not everyone knows about those. Not everyone knows the great names outside of something or something. Here we are. Good job by Krankdud there to actually shake to kill those greedy enemies. Again, taking damage, it might seem like, oh, just don't even worry about it. You'd rather take the little split second to spin to attack those enemies than take damage and lose the time again from taking the damage and then refilling your health. So, Krankdud on really good pace right now. He's going to be about a minute ahead of my low 112. So, he's definitely, I would say, on PB pace right now. Which is, again, a bit of a tough draw for Jackster, for sure. But Jackster, either way, keep playing, making his way. It's the first match of Group C, so certainly isn't going to end his tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting when, as the tournament goes on, and we move on to the brackets. Just like the more time that the players have to practice the game, to do their runs, like how good they really get. And I like that we had a tournament so early on in this game's lifespan, just to maybe share strats, to see different play styles, and yeah, I think it's healthy for the community.
Absolutely.
It's definitely healthy.
So again, it's a race for these top 2 runners to get to the end of their kingdoms. Krameht trying to get his last 4 moons in snow, while Feinberg's going to get his last 8 moons in seaside. Hard to know exactly which of those would go by faster, and obviously it also comes down to the players, how well they execute. Krameht's going to have to see more cutscenes, though, to note. He's just having to get more of these small story moons. Again, just not having a lot of options in snow.
And overall, snow is taking a little bit longer than seaside, even though you collect the moves in both of the kingdoms.
Yeah, I think a standard split for snow is still like a 5-minute split, which is pretty nuts. But like pretty slow in comparison to considering you're only getting 10 minutes in the game. Yeah, looks like Feinberg making his way over with the Gushin. Seaside, another one of those kingdoms that went through a lot of different routes. Originally, we used to go out and get the Gushin and then kind of ride him along the back wall, getting some story moons, getting some of these moons that we're getting normally with Mario at the start with the Gushin instead, which is a little bit faster, but then it was found out that instead, just go this completely different route, utilize the cheat sheet, and swim and grab these last 6 moons with him.
Yeah, I like that. I like there's always, like, in some 3D Mario games, like Mario 64, there's always, like, this underwater section, and I feel like, in a way, it's very calming and relaxing, because there's nothing too complex about going through there.
No, for sure. It's definitely a little more like chill part of the run. As kind of exciting as the beginning of Seaside is, with some of the movement you have to do to get to a couple of moves. Yeah, it definitely kind of chills out from here. But it's also definitely a spot where, like, in a speedrun, you can lose a lot of time just from balking with the cheat sheet, which is easier than it should be. So yeah, like I said, despite them having completely different sets of moves, it's looking like Feinberg actually has taken the lead back. He's going to be, both of them warping over, both of them getting their 10th moons from the different kingdoms. Feinberg's going to be hitting the Odyssey and depositing his 10 first. Krameht dropping his 10 later. So, again, quite a match we've got here with the top 2. Hard to, I'm trying to think off of this pace. Yeah, Krameht's about 2 minutes behind mine. So, kind of a combination. I would say Krameht's playing a little bit beyond his PD right now. Feinberg playing a little bit behind his.
They're just neck to neck, going to Lucha. Top kingdom, I would say, including Lost and Metro.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I've lost multiple PB runs. I lost a PB run last night to just not even any major mistakes, just kind of subtly made a lot of little mistakes here and there and lost 20 seconds on this kingdom. It's just a lot. It's one of the more involved kingdoms. You have to get 18 moons when you go through this. It's another one where, even to today, people still disagree on what the best route is. It'd be interesting to see if any of these players elect to go for the Forks room instead. I expect all 4 of them will probably go Lava Bubble.
So far, Crank is skipping the forks, so he's going for the Magma room.
Yeah, he would have been the player. The way I always describe it is that I feel like very good cheese rocks there actually by him, just getting right up in its business and being able to get to that switch quickly. Can be very annoying having the hammer bro there throwing his frying pans.
Cooperating with you, but yeah, go ahead.
It's spray and pray. You're just hoping, but It's basically the routes we're talking about. Some people will get the 2 in the Forks room that are earlier on, and others will get the 2 that are in the Lava Bubble room later on. The way I would describe it is, if you're going for like very easy strats for both rooms, Forks are a little bit faster. If you're going for medium level strats, Lava Bubble is faster. And if you're going for the most advanced strats, where you're using a lot of up throws and everything, then the Forks room is a little bit faster. I think often say 1 second. So I'll ask you, Samu, what do you elect to do? Do you go Lava Bubble or Forks?
I always have gone with the Magma room. I tried to go with the Forks, but those up throws are just sometimes not working out, so maybe that second or 2 will just be losing because of the motion controls.
Yeah, when you're talking about a second or 2 for a complete reroute, it's you make any mistake in that other route, then all of a sudden you're not saving the time. So it's ultimately what you're most comfortable with. Very nice Lava Bubble room there from Krankdud, able to catch the ending cycle very well.
That was very good.
The only way that could have been a little bit better is if he caught that opening left side Lava Bubble. But your movement needs to be extremely good there at the start to actually catch it.
Yeah, you have to start with a roll at the beginning and roll cancel your throw to get the rest of the lava bubbles.
Krankdud had to save himself right there, had an accidental down throw. Could have cost him, he could have fallen down quite a bit more, but was able to save it.
That down throw never happens in a pro controller.
I know. I wonder if Krankdud is a Joy-Con man.
I feel like he's playing on Joy-Cons because I never get down throws with the pro controller unless I ground pound. Then it's possible.
Yeah, that is the only way. I've had multiple people tell me, yeah, you just kind of shake the controller down. I cannot do it. I've sat there for minutes at a time trying to do it. Yeah, thankfully, if you ground pound and then shake the controller, you do get that down throw guaranteed. But if it wasn't for that, it'd be impossible. I would never, ever get to use the down throw. Thankfully, down throw is not terribly important, especially in 90% run, so.
Luckily, it's not.
Other categories, though. A little annoying we can't just bust it out. So that Krankdud's moving on, and we're actually seeing Feinberg using Forks, so we're seeing a routing difference here that we talked about. Again, at the easiest level, Forks are definitely faster. But if you see Krameht going for like kind of the medium level lava bubble strats, or like the better ones, I should say, he definitely can make up a little bit of time here. Because it does look like, in fact, here, about halfway into Luncheon, it looks like it is a little bit of a lead for Feinberg.
Meanwhile, Krankdud is in a Dark Souls Kingdom.
In the Dark Souls Kingdom. I wonder how many people this is their first exposure to Dark Souls.
Me?
Yeah, I've never played one.
Same.
I've never played them. I wouldn't say I have nothing against the series. I'd probably play it at some point. I think it's cool. The game is supposed to be super hard. This boss, though, is, however, not very hard. As intimidating as he looks. Just a couple different preferences. Some people will like to just get on the dragon right off the bat and just take damage. And then once the iframes run out for him, then you can just grab the needles instantly. Others will elect to instead try to time it. I know I personally like to try to do Ageless and try to just get up there and throw my cap right as it's running out. Obviously the timing would have to be a little bit tighter though. Once again, Samu, what's your preference? Do you like to take damage or not?
I prefer to take damage, so I will set up myself to drop the cap as soon as possible and take the health by ground pounding a couple of the spots. There are those glowing points in the bottom of the sides. Ground pounding on those and you can get a heart to heal yourself.
Yeah, the game does let you have 4 hearts there. Alright, Feinberg going a little bit different route so he can get to this back moon. Obviously didn't have to get the 2 in the lava bubble room. Krameht coming out of the lava bubble room, so he's going to be picking up the moon that Feinberg, you're just now seeing on his screen pick up. So again, Feinberg maintaining this little lead.
What I was going to say, top runners, top side of the runners are just neck to neck, and the next stages are gonna decide a lot. Bowser's Kingdom.
Yeah, Bowser's Kingdom. I feel like it doesn't really even matter, like if how good you feel about it. Like if you're on PV pace, if you're not, like Bowser's Kingdom will just burn you. It just oftentimes, I don't know. I see the most well-practiced players, just something bad happens, and it's very unfortunate. But yeah, we'll see how the players perform once they get there. Krankdud's going to be the first one there. The 3 other players are going to have to do the Ruined Kingdom first.
Yeah, again, Krankdud, I'm sure, regardless of how he feels in the race, he wants to try to get a PB right now. He wants to get as good a time as possible. Fill him with some confidence where possibly he can take out the number 1 seed in his bracket again. Having a lower 2 seed rank, so he came into this bracket having to face a very high tier, the number 3 player in the bracket behind Father and Samuel.
Yeah, so like how do you feel about like the race preparation? Do you put your splits up? Do you not have splits? Do you have the other players stream up? Like, how do you have? What's your preference on that, Spike?
I know I personally like to not put up splits because, like, splits are something for PBs. That's okay. Yeah, if you get it during the race, that's fine. That probably means I can get it again later. It's not like I need to redo those or anything. Yeah, and it's okay if I lose 15 on a split. You can't. That shouldn't affect anything later in the run. It doesn't have any bearing at that point. So, I mean, I think having your splits is a distraction. I think, like in sports, any of us who have played sports, you can't worry about you struck out that last time you were up or you fumbled the ball or anything. Like, you got to do the next thing correct. So, just having that flat timer up, just so the audience can see just what your time is, I think that's appropriate. That's my preference, though. What do you feel, Samu? Do you like to have splits up?
I usually like to have splits up, but whenever I just want to have a I want to be less nervous. I just try to not look at the splits. But in a race format, I'm not sure yet. I haven't still did my worst run or race, should I say? So
you might find your preference here soon.
Yeah, I feel like I will have the splits on, so the runners, not the runners, the viewers can see how I'm doing against the BB.
And in terms of, the other point you brought up about do you like to see what the other runner is doing, it's another personal preference. I like to have this restream up in the background just in case. It's like I said, in my first race where I knew we were going to be close, I didn't bother looking at it until I thought I was done. Until I thought, well, I'm out of it. And that was mainly me just seeing, all right, let me see how close it is so I know potentially would I go for different strats than if I thought, okay, well, I'm a certain amount ahead, so maybe play this a little safer. I know some people will bring that up, say, with, like, the 2D shortcut in the final level of the game. Like, is this something I need right now that can make the difference in the race? That's where you can kind of equate stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm also a believer in just go for what you know. If you feel confident about a strat, just go for it. Don't let the race decide that necessarily.
Right, I like that.
Although some people, I'm sure, would tell you, I mean, you performed in the Batman race while we're watching some of these cutscenes. You performed in the Batman race at AGQ a few years back. Did you find yourself, like, doing race strategies where you didn't go for certain strats? Or did you feel like you just went for everything you were comfortable with?
The latter, I would say. Definitely, like, comfort is a big thing. Like, there's a balance there, and that's what makes speedrunning so intriguing. Is you can go for like the fastest and riskiest stuff, or like you just find the strats in between, like not like the easiest strats, but you can find something that works to your benefit. It's a little bit safer, and that's sort of what I did in the Batman race, and it was like a 4-player race. I like the pressure. I like to see, for me, I like to just have the other person stream up to see where they are, and if they're ahead of me, like that like shows to me like, oh, it's go time. I gotta step it up right now. So it gives me a little more motivation. But yeah, I think that's interesting to see different opinions on it.
Everybody's got their own preference on it, yeah. As someone who's already done GDQ runs like we have, it's it's impossible to not know how your opponents are doing in that instance. So, anyways, here we are. We got a little bit of difference preferences of route. You had actually both runners on the bottom electing to go for the moon that's behind the wall, sort of taking that warp up strat like we do at the beginning of Metro to get back, as opposed to the glory hole wall, where it looks like at least Krameht elected to just grab the moon. Skipped past the moon, so he'll be doing glory hole. Not sure if Feinbergg did or not. He's got only one moon right now, so yeah, neither of the players grabbed the moon earlier on. So both of them will be going for glory hole.
It's very nice to see all of the racers just deciding which moves they want to pick up.
Again, just seeing all that, it is a game that just allows for a certain amount of creativity. Just Defend just talked about it, how, you're not necessarily going for the slow stress, but you're finding something that works for you. That's ultimately what's going to be most important. Not necessarily, all right, let's do everything that Shane's doing, or Balu's doing, or Sammy's doing, or anybody else, or Wabu. It's, let me find something. There's plenty of leeway, I think, in this game where you can find a strat that is different, and maybe it's not even slower, actually. Just something that works better for you.
Definitely want to do the strats that works for you and you're the most comfortable with. And in a race settings, add the pressure, so you might want to switch up the strats a little bit if you don't feel comfortable enough.
We got krankdud here up on the Met fight. He's able to get the burglar strat, getting up, knocking out Spewer. He's able to get back up on top. That always gives you more than enough distance where he can actually just get a dive off. Looks like he's going to go topper second. It's a bit of a preference whether you like to go topper or Ringo second. Some people find doing topper second allows for an easier third hit on Ringo. Something I might have to look into myself. And now, you kind of got to let this like Bucky Bronco face, you got to let it ride around. You're riding the bull at this point. Actually, krankdud going for... Wow, Harry at third.
I'm surprised actually, because is he gonna be able to hit that? Oh, there it is.
He is able to hit it actually. Very interesting new strat. Kind of electing for a ledge grab strat, and then once you can just kind of let go and spam ZR or ZL, whichever you want, in order to get that immediate ground pound. Really great fight there by krankdud. Couldn't ask for better than that.
The usual order you want to do with the Mecha Brutal is blue, or then after that either green or yellow, then last one, and obviously the easiest one to leave last is purple.
That's what I've seen everyone try to do. That's the first time I've seen one of the higher level runners at least go for Harriet third, purple third. So that's interesting. Ooh, you got Jackster. He is in a precarious situation here. Not sure how many hits he has left to get on Harriet. Hopefully this is the last hit. He's sitting at 1 heart right now.
Yes, it is.
He is able to take her out. Now here's the question: does he still have Topper left? If he still has Topper left, yeah, he does. I was gonna say I would recommend he go ahead and grab this safety heart over here. Far too easy to take a hit to Topper to risk that, in my opinion. And again, looking to just avoid disaster at this point. It would take krankdud his stream dying at this point to catch up. So he's just wanting to have as solid a run as he can. Again, for those potential tiebreaker situations. I was going to say, yeah, go ahead. Top of the string. Yeah, that's the story.
top of the streams are just neck to neck. Feinberg being a little bit ahead, Krameht being on a Brutal's Green Brutal, and with 1 health, he's in a tough spot.
This is okay. He is able to get the hits. Now he needs to not take a hit when he's coming around. Is able to clutch it out. At this point, again, clearly has a disadvantage to Feinberg, probably a good 20 to 30 seconds, but that can easily be made up on the Mecha Brutal fight. It was good for him to avoid disaster there.
Not sure what was the last checkpoint for Krameht, so the checkpoint would have been really far away if he didn't hit the flag next to the Brutals.
Here we have krankdud on the moon. Now, see if he can get this double flower strat. He is able to get it. That's a harder second flower than you would think just because of how the crater is shaped. Sometimes it can kind of bounce your hat upwards and you're not able to get up there. Can't quite tell with the bit rate, but it does look like krankdud is able to get Moonskip first try. Very nice for him. Just needs to clear this wall. Is able to do it. He is up into the chapel. Very good for him because he's looking at a big PB here.
Yeah, he's killing it right now. It's very impressive from krankdud today.
We're having, I was actually going to say, I feel like he might legit be on 109 pace right now, is how good his pace is. This is, like I said, might be the 2 seed in his bracket right now, but if he keeps improving at this rate, he very much can compete for straight up winning this group stage.
Ranked PB is 1 hour, 11 minutes, 53 seconds, and with this run, you've seen it. Looks like it's gonna be close to 109.
Yeah, what can you say? Is there anything like really disastrous here, like in the end game, that can really kill a run? I don't know, other than making a huge mistake on Bowser.
The only thing that we have is 2D shortcut. Either he decides to go for it and save 2 seconds, or not go for it and lose those 2 seconds. It's very high risky and low reward strat. Failing the jump and you die.
To me, this is where like it says a lot about the player. It's all a player preference. Like basically, I mean, for lack of a better term, how big are krankdud's balls, man? Like is it the sort of thing where he says, no, man, I'm confident in this tip? Because the only reason why you wouldn't go for it is just being scared of it. That's really the only reason. If you're confident with it, why wouldn't you go for it? Who does accidentally pick up the cap here, so he's going to lose a little bit of time on Bowser.
That hitbox is seriously huge with the hat.
Yeah, so it can be easier than you think. Oh, whoops, I thought I had a good distance from it. It does look like, I'm not sure what happened with the top race up there. Kind of been focusing on krankdud to see if he could get the 109 or at least a 110 PV. But it looks like Feinberg probably had a pretty solid Mecha Brutal and shot this gap up a little bit on Krameht. Krameht, if he can get this hit quickly enough, it can be a bit like whack-a-mole trying to get this last hit. He is able to get it, though. Yeah, he's going to need a pretty big mistake, like a late death or something from Feinberg. Definitely is giving it a hell of an effort, but my Feinberg probably good to go on this race. We'll see what happens, though. Moon Kingdom, you're not exactly in the clear.
Yeah, how do you feel about like Moonscape? Has that really gotten easier for any of you guys?
I think for the top players, I think it's a pretty, like, next to free skip. Oh, krankdud going for the 2D shortcut and is able to get it. Yeah, shown it. He's got the confidence. PB on the line didn't bother him. He probably still was going to be on PB pace even if he failed it. So, no, Sam, yeah, I mean, I'm assuming you're probably same as me. You feel pretty confident about this, right?
Yeah, I feel very confident at it. Knowing how to do the skip really helps out. The knowledge really helps out with the skip. At the first, when I was like learning the 80%, I had tough time to understand what went wrong every time in a Mooncave skip. Then when I practiced it, it just clicked in and, oh, this is what I did wrong. Let's just not do it anymore.
Yeah, it was something that felt a little inconsistent to me for a while, and then as soon as I just like found the right position, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, krankdud 109 is going to be impossible for him. It was a little out of reach coming into this. I don't think, even the mistake on Bowser, I don't think it's possible for it. It takes a little over a minute to do this last anime sequence, so...
Yeah, he's gonna be in a low 110 pace, which is gonna be a DP by over a minute.
That's... You can't hope for much better than that. He's able to get the snipes from far away to get that. He's going to be up here. He's going to be looking at, yeah, around like a 110, 15 or so.
Looks like to be 110.
10 looking like it. Yeah, we'll see what the time is on that. So, yeah, 110.09 on his splits. GG to krankdud. That's pretty strong.
Yeah, big kudos to him. He's going to be the winner of his match against the Jackster. His time in SRL is 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 13 seconds. And yeah, what a big PB for him. And he took a death in that run. So that's very impressive.
That's, again, to note, so he's in Group C, and he was the 2 seed. That implies he was about the 58th ranked player in the tournament coming into it. And yet he just posted one of the top, like, 3 times of the entire tournament so far. So this is what I'm talking about, guys, where, okay, yeah, don't pay too much attention to what their PBs are, what their seeding was. It's so early on in this game. Everyone's getting better, and people are going to continue to get better. It's people better watch out. A lot of 1 seeds have already lost to 2 seeds in particular. So, I don't know. It's going to be fun to see. Okay, yeah, here's what they all started at. Let's see what everyone finishes at by the end of these group stages and the tournament as a whole.
Yeah, not to take anything away from the other players right now. We still have the Jackster and Krameht trying to finish out their speed runs. And Jackster, he's putting up a good fight, you know. The krankdud, he just ripped out a 110, and that's really good. We'll see if Jackster, if he has potential for a BB for himself.
So far, Krameht and Jackster are in back in the PP phase if they keep up this run.
Yeah, everyone's stepping up their game. It's really awesome to see. Unfortunately, Krameht running into the same problem that krankdud had with the hat there.
Those some hella dodges though he had on those fire waves coming out.
Yeah, but yeah, Bowser fight's pretty straightforward. You know, you go up there, you take his hat, you start hitting him, and then you just gotta wait for these tail attacks. Just jump over him, and then he's got these fire attacks here in the middle as well.
We are here at the end of the race. Unfortunately, I've had something come up. I actually need to bounce myself. I know we're pretty close to the end of the race anyways. I'm sure you guys can handle the interviews afterwards. But just want to thank everyone for having me today. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the Mario Odyssey action that's going to be going on throughout the rest of the day and the rest of the month and next year as well. So,
thank you, Spike Vegeta.
Thank you, Spike Vegeta.
Thank you to Samu and Justifan. Hope you guys enjoy the end of the tournament and or the end of the races. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
I'll see ya. So right now,
we're gonna. Yeah, we've got 3 players trying to finish up. Definitely looks like Feinberg is going to win his match over Krameht. So he just needs to finish up these 4 pillars and then destroy the core in the middle. But yeah, his stream definitely dropping frames, so understandably it might be hard to understand what's happening.
That is right. Feinberg unfortunately has gone through his PP, so he will be looking at 1 hour 40 minutes time right now, I think. Meanwhile, Krameht and Jackster are starting the escape sequence, and they're really looking at their new PP if they just keep it up. Really interesting race was going back and forth.
Yeah, I really liked it. We were seeing some really good Super Mario Odyssey play from Crank, but the race between Feinberg and Krameht was just yeah, it was really up in there. Just couldn't really tell who was going to win. But ultimately, it looked like Feinberg was able to, shake off his early struggles and, get himself this win. As we see Krameht, unfortunately, taking that death in the 2D section, just jumping a little too early. But yeah, he's not too far behind. Hopefully, he can shake that off and get himself the PB that he has in front of him.
That is the punishment for going for the 2D shortcut, and bonking the head to the tiles is gonna result the death, since it's gonna impossible, I guess, to react to that mistake when there's a hole in front of you.
So yeah, between Feinberg and Krameht, Feinberg is going to be the winner of that match. His SRL time is a 1:14.18, so not too shabby, and it was enough to get him the win today. I'm sure he's happy about that, and you're actually going to hear him on commentary later on. There are plenty of Super Mario Odyssey matches happening later on, so you're going to hear him. Maybe if you have any questions there, you can ask him. But we're going to see if we can do some post-game interviews and see what the players think. So sit tight.
Meanwhile, Jackster is hitting the last block, and he's looking at the new PP, guys. 1 hour, 16 minutes, and something.
Yeah, 5 seconds. Yeah, this guy had a 1:17 before. Now he's moving up a minute. That's awesome. I'm like happy for the players to be playing this well in the tournament. Doing their best, and he finishes with an SRL time of 1:16.13. The runner-up in his match, unfortunately, running into Krankdud, who's seemingly unstoppable today.
Krameht is gonna be our last racer to finish, and he is gonna be very, very close to PP, I have to say. Very, very close. He has 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 6 seconds as his PP, and seems like he on purpose waited in an escape.
All right, so I'm going to bring Krankdud in. We'll get his thoughts on his run. Hey, Krankdud. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Pretty good, huh? You're feeling pretty good about that run. So,
welcome. Good games. Congrats on the PP.
Tell me about your stress. Like I see you doing a bunch of like different things. How do you feel about those like strats that you do?
I don't know how they compare to what other people are doing right now, just because I haven't like watched Jaden's run or anything yet, so I don't know what he does. And then, but yeah, most of the time when I pick up a game, I like to go through and figure out stuff by myself first, just to see, maybe there's something that people have missed that I can figure out or stuff like that. So.
Yeah, Samurai, do you have anything to add to that? Like, this is a really good run by you, by the way, Crank.
It was definitely a good run, and beeping by over almost 2 minutes. That's a huge fun for sure. Were you thinking you're gonna get a 109 when you solve that phase in the Moon Kingdom?
I mean, anything can happen, so I wasn't too worried about what time I was gonna get. I was just kind of focused on executing everything.
That's awesome. So when do you think your next match is going to be?
I'm not sure. I haven't scheduled that yet. Probably try to schedule it next week.
Okay. But yeah, I just want to let you all know that Krankdud is the guy to watch if you like what you saw today. And yeah, thank you for being here today, Crank. We're going to pull in some other guys for a little bit of an interview.
And as we are all here, I should note quickly to all of the runners putting up all the hard work within a month, depending when they started. really awesome to see everyone getting into the game, especially the racers. Give them a wall; they really deserve it for showing everything on the stream.
Yeah, good games. Hey, what's up, Feinberg?
How's it going?
So you were able to get the win today. Like, what did you think throughout the race? Did you think you were winning? You were losing? What was going on there?
Yeah, so I actually had a really, really good early game up to Lake. Gold split Cascade, and my sand was like a second away, so it was my Cap Kingdom. So I was really confident going into Lake Kingdom. And then for some reason, I just couple mistakes there, some bonks, missed jumps, put me like 40 seconds back on Lake. And then I was a little worried, and I had my friend pull up the stream just to see how much I was behind, because like I knew I was behind at that point, that early into the run, like 45 seconds behind. So then I knew I was fighting a losing battle there, and then especially with the 2 deaths in Wood, it didn't help at all. And so then I knew I was behind, and I was just trying to do some safe things to catch up. And then in Lost, I decided to play a bit risky and went for a triple jump when I shouldn't have, messed up that jump. So after that, I just decided to play really safe. And then the last half of my run, I was like playing out of my mind. I gold split like 3 out of the last 5 kingdoms. So,
Awesome. Yeah, man. I like it. Like sometimes when you're behind, I definitely feel like you play a little bit better. But yeah, congratulations to you. Congratulations to krankdud for their wins. I'm going to bring in the other players. I'm just going to ask you all this question all together. So hold on.
all right.
Bye.
Hey, what's up? So
Hello.
real quick, like we're a little short on time. I know we have plenty of other Super Mario Odyssey matches to go, but I just want to say GG's to all of you. And when are your next matches going to be? I'll start with Feinberg.
I only have 1 left to go in my group stage, and we're still trying to coordinate that. But I know there's a match coming up like right after this on this channel.
And you're doing commentary, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah. So stay tuned for Feinberg. How about you, Jackster? When do you think your next match is going to be?
I'm not sure when my next match is. I've still got 2 left, both of which I need scheduled. But the new PB today, I'm feeling confident.
Yeah, that's great. You were really playing really well, and yeah, you just had a rough opponent today. And last but not least, we have Krameht. When do you think you're going to get your next match in?
I haven't scheduled my next one. It's a bit awkward trying to sort things out, but I checked my PB today with that Death in 2D Moon.
But yeah, it was good runs. Good luck to you all in your future matches. And again, thank you all for playing today. And just want to remind everyone that this is the Speed Gaming channel. If you want more information about the schedule or of upcoming matches, go to speedgaming.org. There are links there, and you can get all the information you need. I think coming up next, we got 4 players for the Super Mario Odyssey tournament, so don't miss it. And yeah, thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.